Welcome to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. If you would like to support this channel, please hit the like button and consider subscribing if you enjoy the content. And now, let's start with the first story. It's called Can't Park Here. A colleague of mine worked a few years as an internet technician for a service provider and did installations and maintenance, etc. One day he gets called out to fix someone's router or something. He pulls up in the company van to the address, and it's an apartment building in a busy area with little parking. He sees a few spaces for residents only and thinks, I'll just stop there, unload my equipment at the apartment, then find a proper space. As soon as he does, a lady from the apartment starts shouting at him that he's in a residents-only spot. Clear off or she'll call the police, etc. My colleague tries to explain it's just a quick drop-off, but she insists, so not wanting to cause trouble, he leaves and parks far away. On getting back to the address where the issue he was sent out to fix was, he knocks on the door. And, lo and behold, it's the same woman who shouted at him earlier. From her expression, he could tell she recognized him, but he plays dumb and pretends not to recognize her. He starts the repairs, and after a little while says, I need to get something from the van, but it will take a while, because I couldn't park here. The lady is all, oh, you can park outside in the residence parking, it isn't a problem. But he insisted, no, I wouldn't want to upset anyone here, I'll leave the van where it is. And so he leaves and takes around half an hour to get back. He does this a couple of times, fixes the problem and leaves. All the while, the lady didn't open her mouth. The next story is called 10,000 Steps a Day. Years ago, long before smartphones or Fitbits, a coworker of mine, Bob, had a relatively mild heart attack. We joked in secret that it was caused by his wife. But the other secret is, we weren't really joking. She was awful. She was just an intolerable person, and no one liked her. I'm pretty sure Bob didn't like his own wife. At any rate, when Bob returned to work, he returned with a pedometer clipped to his belt. Every day, Bob would walk as much as he could when he wasn't pinned down to his desk, but he was suffering, and his work was suffering. As his supervisor at the time, I figured he was struggling with his recovery, so we just moved a lot of his work to others and left him with the cases he specialized in. That worked for everyone, because those cases drove others nuts, and he was a whiz at them. His other work was comparatively easy. However, at the end of his first full week back, the issue became more clear. I overheard Bob's wife berating him in the parking lot, because he didn't even meet half of his steps goal. Turns out the pedometer didn't come from his doctor. It came from his wife. She was demanding that Bob increases his current around 4,200 steps a day that were almost destroying him to somehow 10,000 steps a day. This will read at least 10,000 at the end of every workday, or it will get bad for you, were her words. Now, Bob was a tall guy with a long stride, so she was somehow expecting him to fit in over 6 miles of walking during his workday while recovering. But you know, since he'd had a heart attack, maybe she was just looking out for him, right? Nope, his doctor had actually cautioned him against overdoing it. He was only supposed to be walking 1.5 miles a day, and not all at once. But his wife wasn't having it. She demanded more, and he tried but wasn't doing so well. After another week of this, there was another chewing out in the parking lot. So we developed a plan. Bob's pedometer just sat on the corner of his desk while he was working. If anyone had to walk down the hall or to the other building, they'd grab the pedometer on their way out of the office. Bob did have to tolerate another couple of her fits, because we ramped him up to 10k steps instead of jumping straight there. We figured that would be suspicious otherwise. In the end, Bob got his 10,000 steps every day. Well, Bob's speedometer registered over 10,000 steps every day, and almost a third of them were actually his steps. Bob was overjoyed to have the head, and we were all willing to keep the secret, because we were frightened of her turning on us. Teamwork makes the dream work. The third story is called Treat Others with Respect. I live in a pretty small city by American standards in Canada, around 100k people. People joke that it is a giant small town, and it's hard to go somewhere without knowing someone who either knows you or heard of you. I run a small contracting business that maintains properties for seniors. Think grass mowing, tree trimming, etc. In the winter, there isn't a lot going on, so I lay off the summer crew and usually bounce around to different companies to help them with the snow removal. I hold a CDL as well as an equipment operator license among others, so most of the larger companies know me and are more than happy to have me around. Over the weekend, I was called by the biggest company in my city to help with hauling snow to the city snow dump. A gravy job and lots of hours. I had never worked with the crew, but quickly got along with everyone but the company grump, which was expected. Of course, the company grump is the one working on the weekend, loading trucks. After the first location, he gave me some cash to get us coffee. I meet him at the next location and hand him his drink. He takes a drink and notices it's wrong. He gets out of the bobcat and throws the full extra large coffee into the distance, getting caught by the wind, spraying me with liquid, all while cursing me out. I decided to let it go. Everyone has been working long hours. And well, some people in construction are just giant man-children. I offered to grab him another coffee, and he declined. I went back to my truck to drink my coffee and talk to the other driver in my truck when the operator comes over to our truck to moan at us about his coffee, after I offered to get him another. Shortly after, I realized I had his change in my pocket. Knowing this guy, I better return it. I walk over to the bobcat to give him his money and let him know if he did that again, there would be problems. We had a few words before he told me to shut up, get back in my truck and do what I was told. And if I did, stuff like that wouldn't happen. So I did. I went back to my truck and did as I was told. Little did the operator know he's been on thin ice, and I was told by his boss to let him know if we had problems with him. Furious, I jumped in my truck, called his boss and went home. Not even 20 minutes later, I get a call from his boss, telling me they fired him and begging me to come back. Moral of the story? Treat others with respect, especially in the workplace. The next story is called Convenience. This happened quite a few years ago. The real estate agent I was renting from at the time decided that they would no longer be taking payments via bank transfer. Rather, they wanted it through a third-party company that had a debit card type system. This card included various discounts for various businesses. You just had to send them your rent every month rather than the agent. Sounds like a great deal until you look at the fine print. As well as an initial setup fee, each transaction would incur a small transfer fee. Granted, this added up to less than $1 per month, but there was no way I would let them charge me for the convenience of sending them money. I did some digging into the tenancy laws in my area and discovered that they were obligated to offer an alternate payment option. After some back and forth with the agent, I was informed it was either the convenient payment card or delivering a check to their office every month. I signed up to have a free checkbook delivered to my house and dropped it off every month. I relished the look on their faces every time I handed over the check and declined their offer to set up an account with the third-party company. I would smile, thinking about the admin assistant having to take time out of their workday to take my stupid check down to the bank. The last story is called Free Lunch. I worked for a three-letter long-distance company in the 90s, whose core business was long-distance calls, but all their other products and services routinely flopped. They created a program where if you submitted an idea that gets used, you either get movie tickets, a variance of cash saved, or branded clothing. No one cared. However, if you submitted an idea, even if it didn't get used, you got a lunch buck, good for $1 in the cafeteria. My friend and I spent our lunch hour submitting ideas like put trampolines in the break area and make our commercials in all black and white, etc. Obviously, none of our ideas were taken, but we got lunch bucks for each submission. Game on. This started a 4-month-long journey of submitting ideas like buy our competition, give phones to mouthpieces so both grandparents can talk, consider carrier pigeons for intra-company mail on campus, make phone calls straight. The cafeteria workers didn't care, as they were contractors, and the contractor bill was reconciled with a different accountant every month, so no one caught on. We ate free for months, until someone in the mailroom told HR we were getting an unusually high amount of lunch bucks. We never got in trouble, but the program ended abruptly. And with that, we end today's video. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories in today's video? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what I do and want to support me, please subscribe and hit the like button. I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.